So this video is going to be all about the 5 best SMGs after the Season 5 Reloaded update. This is the final SMG meta when it comes to Warzone, and this is something that I feel really strongly about because SMGs are the guns I use the absolute most when it comes to Warzone and those close range engagements. But now the meta has settled down. Let's get straight into this. So before we get into all the numbers and everything, I just want to quickly show you a couple of things when it comes to the patch notes and obviously what exactly has changed. So we got adjustments to the Armagedda, so this essentially got a nerf. We then also got adjustments to the Bullfrog, which actually got a buff when it comes to arm and hand multipliers. Really weird thing, which is just a bit mad that they can actually do that with the guns at the minute. Then we've got the RA225, which is actually a pretty solid gun, but now they have nerfed it down as well, so I don't really know how that will take place. We'll take a look at the numbers in just a second. And then we've got the Blackson, which actually got a bit of a nerf as well. So the Blackson also got a lower torso nerf. ISO got a bit of a buff here, so ISO has never really been used all that much, but that got a buff regardless. CX9 is a gun that people actually like using, but it's still not as powerful, and that got a slight buff. KSP is a burst fire SMG, and I don't really think I really recommend this, although now you can actually auto burst fire, so if you just hold down the trigger, it will burst fire it itself, so it just means you don't have to keep spamming the trigger all that often. It's quite good for people who have kind of disabilities and stuff. Then we have the Submachine Gun Charlie, which is a vanguard gun, so this is the MP40, I believe. Then we've got the PPSH from Vanguard, which got a nerf. Obviously this is the most popular SMG with the hipfire build, so that got nerfed. Next up, we're going to get into the actual TTKs, and this is a shot location multiplier, basically going over the percentages of what shots are landed in which position. And this is based around my Cold War multiplayer stats, so it actually shows you where your shots are landed most. So that is where I've actually taken this from. And then we use the sim.gg website to calculate what are the best TTKs for all these SMGs. So now what we're going to do is order the first damage range, because that's the most important in terms of best to worst. And we've not had any new SMGs in the game to add those onto the list just yet. So these are all the weapons we've got. And as you can see here, the Marco 5 and Akimbo is the fastest TTK. Then we've got the Type 100. Then the PPSH is still, even after the nerf, one of the fastest killing guns in the game from Vanguard. The Sten's there, Phoenix there, Armagedda's there, which is still relatively decent considering it got nerfed. Blackson's still up there as well. MP40's there too. AUG, the Marco 5, CX9. We've also got the Owen Gun as well, nail gun. Then we've got the RA225 with the rapid barrel and the recoil booster on there, and then the Cold War MP5, and everything kind of below that is going to be way too slow in terms of TTK to compete with the rest of the weapons. So let's get into the top 5 list. So as always, we're going to start off with our honorable mention, and that is going to be the Type 100. And the reason for that is because it has an insanely fast time to kill. The only issue with this gun is that the mag capacity lets it down. We've been talking about this for a long while now, but nothing has really changed. And I think that's just a balancing mechanic, similar to the way the AS-Val was back in the day. So obviously they do balance it with the mag capacity. So if you are playing solos, you are playing duos, then it is a viable gun. But anything out with that, it will be difficult to use because you will need to reload very often. But in terms of the best build, you want to use the recoil booster, the rapid barrel, the slate reflector, the skeletal stock, acrobatic, quick, the hatched grip, because it's going to control recoil better than the polymer grip, 36 round short mags, hollow point, or you can use lengthened, or even subsonic, and then the hand stop under barrel. At number 5, we have the Owen Gun, and I think the Owen Gun's actually a solid SMG in this game right now. TTKs are not insanely quick or anything, but overall this gun is pretty well balanced. You can pretty much use it in close to medium range. It actually performs relatively well in terms of movement. The kind of main thing that I think is a drawback with this gun is that the mag takes up your screen, and that's why I've put it at number 5. So you do want to use the recoil booster for the faster fire rate. No barrel is going to give you the better TTK, so just make sure you're not using any barrels at all. Slate reflector, the remove stock, acrobatic for better movement speeds. You can also choose steady as well, or even fleet. If you're struggling with recoil, you can use brace, but keep in mind, if you have any sustained fire accuracy attachments, it will basically negate those, so just make sure you keep that in mind. We've got quick here, hatch grip for the recoil control once again. Like I said, I do think it controls recoil on SMGs a little bit better than the polymer. Grenko 72 round drums, which is actually going to be better for TTK, hollow point, and then hand stop under barrel. At number 4, we have the Marco 5 SMG. This is an SMG that I think is actually pretty solid in this game, and it's kind of like my new favorite SMG to use at the moment. The Marco 5 is definitely a solid choice when it comes to close and medium range. They did nerf the recoil a little on this gun, like back a couple of updates ago, but it's still a solid choice to use even as a sniper support. So you do want to use the recoil booster for the faster fire rate. Emreto barrel is the best at controlling recoil, so that's the one that you want to go for. Slate reflector, the Emreto stock is going to be the best for movement speed. Then frenzy, but you could choose whatever perk you want here, as long as it's not akimbo, of course. Perk 2 is quick. Rear grip, I'm choosing taped grip for the better movement speed, but you can also choose the hatch grip or polymer. Then for the magazine, I'm choosing the 48 round drums, and the reason for that is because I like to have a bit more movement speed, but if you want to get a bit more recoil control, then you can use the 74 round drums, and this makes the gun absolutely solid sniper support. So again, we will cover that probably in our sniper support video. Then subsonic, you can also choose hollow point. And then under barrel, we're using the compact under barrel. You could choose the skeletal under barrel. You can also choose the Carver foregrip, but I think compact just gives you better strafing speeds, which is pretty handy. At number 3, we have the Blackson. Now, the Blackson is definitely a solid choice still, even though it keeps getting nerfed. It's still up there in terms of the best SMGs in this game. So you do want to use the recoil booster for the faster fire rate. The RMK barrel is going to give you better damage, and also therefore a better TTK. Slate reflector, the Bergstrom stock. Now, people are using the no stock, but keep in mind this gun did get nerfed in terms of recoil, so that is why I use the Bergstrom now, because it doesn't con the recoil as much as the remove stock. Then you want to use Fleet. You could choose whatever perk you want here. Steady's a pretty solid choice too. Then perk 2 is quick. Fabric grip for the better ADS time and sprint to fire speed, but you can also use the hatch grip for better recoil control, or you could even use the granular grip, which helps with the aim walking movement speed as well. So all are really good choices here. The Grenko 54 round mags are the best, hollow point, and then the Carver foregrip. You can also choose the compact under barrel or the hand stop as well. All are really good choices here, but this is my personal favorite build for the Blackson. At number 2, we have the Armagedda, which is actually a very solid SMG, and it was a very close one between this and the number 1 spot, especially for me, because I usually like the Armagedda, but they have nerfed this gun quite a bit, and even silently nerfed certain things with this weapon as well. For example, the mag capacity they've nerfed, because this used to be a 60 round mag, and this used to be around about like a 70 round mag, and now they've actually nerfed them down a bit, so just keep that in mind. But it's still a solid SMG to use if you do enjoy it, and the base build for this is kind of like the strafe build, and that is what you're seeing on screen just now. So you do want to use the recoil booster for the faster fire rate and TTK. The Emreto barrel is going to be the best at controlling recoil, and also on top of that, it's going to give you a very solid time to kill. Then for the optic, you want to use a slate reflector. You do want to use the skeletal stock for the strafing speed bonus. Then you do want to use the steady perk, which is going to help with the overall ADS firing movement speed. So again, for the strafing, perk 2 is quick. Rear grip is leather grip, and again for the aim walking movement speed once again, so you can strafe really quickly. Then we are using the 55 round mags. You can use the 64 round mags. There's pretty much no difference in terms of close range TTK if you switch these mags around, so you could choose either one. If you do want a little bit more capacity, then you can take the 64 round mags, but just keep in mind you will get a little bit worse recoil as well. Then we are using hollow point, and then the compact under barrel again for the strafing speeds. Last but not least, at number 1, we have the MP40, which I do believe is the number 1 best SMG in the game right now. And the reason for that is because it's just very easy to use. Not only that, it has a very competitive time to kill as well. And I feel like there was a reason behind this, because it was very popular when Vanguard was first introduced, and this was the main SMG everyone was using. So the build for this has changed a little bit, but not too much. So you do want to use the recoil booster for the faster fire rate and TTK. Short barrel because it is the best at giving you the best possible time to kill. Slate reflector, folding stock, steady perk, which is going to give you better strafing speeds. You can choose perfectionist if you want a bit more control. Perk 2 is quick. Rear grip, I'm using the fabric grip, but you could choose polymer, you could choose the hatch grip, you could choose whatever you want here. For the most part, this gun is very well balanced, but I just like a bit better about ADS time. 45 round Gorenko mags, even though they did get nerfed again, I do still think this is the best mags for this gun. Hollow point, and then the hand stop under barrel, and overall the MP40 is definitely hands down the best SMG in my opinion. So there we have it. Those are the 5 best SMGs inside Warzone. This is the final meta for Warzone 1. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.